SFM and HD1 New York.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
AccuWeather says we get a mix of sun and clouds, headed up to 82 degrees today. More people get their news from 1010 Winds and from any other radio station in the nation. Sharon Barnes-Waters, our service aide. Zachary Newman, our writer. Jim Maloney at the editor's desk, and I'm Scott Stanford.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Winds at 92.3 FM, New York.
Good morning. 68 degrees. It is 8 o'clock on this Tuesday, September 12th. I'm Susan Richard, and here's what's happening. Aaron Rodgers sidelined during his Jets debut with an injury.
The word we're getting on Rodgers is ankle. His return is questionable.
Both Mark Renee and Glenn Schuck coming up. As a new poll asks New Yorkers about the migrant crisis, a candidate for city controller is blasting audio messages to try and force asylum seekers out. We'll tell you where. The battle's on over water rate hikes in several Long Island towns. A Westchester researcher successfully rescued from that cave in Turkey. And the MTV Video Music Awards are tonight with, for the first time, only women in the top category. In sports, despite the Aaron Rodgers injury, the Jets beat the Bills. Mets lost to the Diamondbacks. Yanks were rained out. They play 2 in Boston today. AccuWeather, clouds and sun, humid, and a high of 82. Winds News Time 8:01. Traffic and transit with Karen Stewart.
We are jammed on the southbound New York State Thruway from Cross County down to the Mosholu, and then the Deegan takes over with very slow traffic taking you down to 95. There is a brief little respite in between around West Fordham Road where you go, oh, this looks good. Don't get too excited because it doesn't last. Then we're going to have more southbound traffic from 95 down to Willis Avenue, where on the northbound side of the major Deegan at Willis, we have an accident, and the right lane is blocked. Now, the inbound George is 45 minutes. The inbound Lincoln is 40, and the inbound Holland has got a 50-minute wait. It's the worst of the bunch. Eastbound Bell Parkway, Pennsylvania Avenue, nope, it's not gone. Accident in the left-hand lane. That's why you guys are jammed back to Sheepshead Bay. Westbound, there are delays in the area. Slowdowns that start back at the Southern State Parkway. You heard that correctly. The entire Staten Island Expressway is a little bit busy. It's not bad. From the Goethals Bridge to the Verrazano Bridge, gotta admit, it's not too bad. Alternate side of the street parking rules and regulations, they are in effect today citywide. Traffic and transit every 10 minutes around the clock. Breaking traffic alerts whenever they happen. I'm Karen Stewart, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM.
Aaron Rodgers' debut with the Jets did not go as hoped. He's out now with an injury. Our Mark Renee with details.
And Susan, the quarterback went down after getting sacked only 4 plays into Gang Green's opening drive.
A loss of 10 on the play, and hopefully the Jets are thinking that's the only loss on that play.
Joe Buck calling the game with Troy Aikman on ESPN.
He had the calf issue in training camp, but here's a little better look as far as what might have happened for him to go back down to the ground.
He's coming out of the game.
X-rays on Rodgers' left ankle were negative, but the fear is a torn Achilles. So further tests are coming today on the heels of the Jets' 22-16 overtime win against the Buffalo Bills. Mark Renee, 1010 Winds Sports on 92.3 FM.
Well, fans, as you can imagine, are happy about that win, but massively bummed about Aaron Rodgers.
After one of the best off seasons the Jets have ever had, well, it quickly transformed into a nightmare. And for fan Jeff Miller, he says he knew this was coming.
I always knew this was going to happen. You got to remember, this is the New York Jets we're talking about. Something always happens to the Jets.
So now what? As the Jets get ready to play Dallas this coming weekend, it's Zach Wilson taking the snaps.
The way the situation unfolded, I think Zach Wilson's playing with nothing to lose, and I think that, you know, like, Jets liked him number 2 overall. I'm not saying that was a bust. We'll see what happens, but like, now it's kind of like all the pressure's off. Like, he can like let it go.
Looks like Aaron Rodgers' injury is the most Jets thing to ever happen to the Jets. Glenn Schuck, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM here in Midtown.
New Yorkers sounding off on the migrant crisis with mixed opinion. Don Levy heads the Siena College Research Institute.
Some of the comments that people are making get a substantial but by no means a majority of sentiment. So, for example, America no longer needs new immigrants. Now, 30% of New Yorkers agree with that, but 63% disagree.
65% think migrants should be allowed to work. 35% said they think asylum seekers just want a handout. 61% disagreed. Most people, 66%, said they disagree that migrants are criminals and dangerous. As for shelters, 57% said federal property should be used. Well, things are heating up once again at the shelter at the former St. Villa Academy on Staten Island. City Comptroller candidate John Tobacco is blasting messages from professional speakers in 5 different languages, urging migrants to leave and telling them that they're being lied to by Mayor Adams. This is coming off the property of homeowner Scott Herkert. Tobacco telling the New York Post he thinks the use of legal psychological warfare is fair game. The Post says 2 cops were at the site and that Herkert was asked to lower the volume. That apparently hasn't happened. The fight heats up this week in Nassau County over plans to raise water rates big time in several South Shore towns.
When you hear a 42% increase, people take notice, and that is what could happen in parts of Nassau County as Liberty Utilities wants to hike water rates. Democrat Seth Kozlow is running for a seat on the county legislature.
Inflation is not going up that fast. That water, the rate of water, which should be, which belongs to the people, which should be the community's water, is being, they're raising the price of it and affecting all of us just so they can make extra money.
The rates would affect residents in Belmore, Seaford, Wantagh, Massapequa, and parts of Levittown. The rates would jump 13 to 42%, according to the filing with the State Department of Public Service, which must approve the increases. Liberty says the increases are needed to replace water mains and treatment facilities and to improve water quality. Sophia Hall, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Nassau County, Long Island.
An 88-year-old Long Island woman hospitalized in critical condition after being stabbed multiple times. Why, we still don't know, but cops say it happened after some sort of argument with 32-year-old Taryn Ringgold of Hempstead. He's facing a slew of charges, including attempted murder, weapons possession, and resisting arrest. Arraignment is today. A 15-year-old accused of slashing a fellow student at Newtown High School in Queens. That was yesterday, with the injured kid suffering a wound to the arm and wrist after police say he confronted the alleged attacker about a threatening text. The suspect took off but made it only across the street before cops caught him. The knife was recovered. Some sunshine now in the city and inland, low clouds across Long Island. We're at 68 degrees. The humidity is 93%. The winds north at 8 miles an hour. Later today, mostly sunny, warm, and still humid, 82, and then some showers on the overnight, arriving toward daybreak, maybe a thunderstorm as well, 68. Tomorrow, a very rainy day. Showers and a thunderstorm could bring flooding downpours and maybe damaging wind gusts, possibly a tornado. What? Yeah, 76 degrees tomorrow. It is 68 now in Central Park. Winds news time, 8:07. Great news out of Turkey, where the American trapped in a cave where he fell ill has been rescued.
Strapped to a stretcher, covered in cave mud, but smiling, 40-year-old Westchester resident Mark Dickey emerged from the mouth of the Morka Cave in Turkey, a grateful man.
It is amazing to be above ground again. I was underground for far longer than ever expected with an unexpected medical issue. I want to immediately thank Afad, Rajib Shalip, the support of the Turkish government saved my life.
Dickey descended 2/3 of a mile underground to map the cave nearly 2 weeks ago. He started vomiting blood and was too weak to climb out, so close to 200 cave rescuers from across Europe set up a relay system to hoist the stretcher up vertical shafts and carry Dickey through narrow passages. There's a GoFundMe campaign to help cover their expenses. Dickey says this was a crazy adventure. Sean Adams, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Westchester.
It's the government versus big tech today in D.C. This is an antitrust trial against Google.
This basically revolves around the billions of dollars that Google pays to be the default search engine on things like the iPhone most prominently. And Google's already got kind of a locked-in position. You know, they make the Android software for almost all the other smartphones. So the government alleges that basically that's a form of payola, giving Google automatic access to billions of search queries a day while effectively blocking out rivals like Microsoft's Bing and DuckDuckGo.
That's correspondent Michael Liedtke. A ruling is not expected until early next year. Another legal maneuver maneuver from the Trump team in one of the 4 criminal indictments against the former president. This is the federal election interference case involving the Capitol Hill riot.
The ex-president's lawyers are asking Judge Tanya Chutkan to recuse herself, saying her past statements about Trump call into question whether she can be fair. Chutkan's often handing down harsher prison sentences than Justice Department prosecutors asked. The request that she step aside is the latest flashpoint in already delicate relations between the two parties, with Chutkan repeatedly warning Trump against making inflammatory public comments and him continuing to blast her on social media. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
The judge in the hush money case here in New York has indicated he may be willing to change the date of that trial. It's set for March of next year, but it could conflict with other cases. New study finds that lead poisoning is responsible for 30% of all heart disease deaths, and that the culprit could be your own cookware.
Products that you have brought back from vacation, or that maybe you bought online from Mexico, earthenware ceramics that have beautiful glazes in them, more than 90% of the time, they use lead in it, and the lead can poison you.
As Richard Fuller, president of Pure Earth and an advisor to the World Bank, which conducted the research, they found that lead exposure can be a worse contributor to heart disease than cholesterol or even smoking, believe it or not. You can read more in the journal Lancet Planetary Health. Now this message, Plaza Jewish Community Chapel, the only community.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this special Looking Back edition of Driving in the News, and we'll see you on the next video.